Turnkey with Morgan Francis, sponsored by Integrity Roofing.
Welcome into Turnkey on Queen City News Plus, your go-to show for everything real estate in the Carolinas. We dive into the latest market trends, do's and don'ts of the industry, and provide expert advice on navigating this dynamic landscape that we call home. Now, what if I told you that you could own former Carolina Panthers standout linebacker Shaq Thompson's home? And you're like, well, how much? For the cool price of $10.7 million. Just a pretty penny, right? We're going to bring in Ben Bowen, the listing agent and global advisor with Premier Sotheby's International Realty. Ben, congratulations on the listing. Thank you for coming on Turnkey.
Thank you, Morgan, and thank you for having me.
So, a good get, right? But what does it take as an experienced real estate agent to get a listing like this?
So it's years of work to build your name up and reputation selling high-end properties. Doesn't happen overnight. So Shaq found me through resources of having success selling other high-end homes, and he reached out to me about his house here in Charlotte. And
it takes the international reach, right? Premier Sotheby's has that reputation of, having clients from all over the globe. And I would assume that is probably the most attractive part about your agency is that you have that kind of reach to reach clientele that might not necessarily live in Charlotte yet, but would end up purchasing a home like this.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We've got huge resources from international outreach to all over the country. We have a great PR department that gets homes publicity all over. This home's been featured all over the place in all kinds of magazines and newspapers. But part of Sotheby's appeal to consumers is a huge outreach, especially for a home like this that needs it.
So you ready to talk about the home?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's run through the features.
All righty.
What are we looking at here?
So this is in South Park. So we're about 2 miles from the mall here in Carmel Park. The property's on about 1.6 acres. It's all gated. The drive is gated and secured. They want a property that was very private and secure for their family. Also, they want access to everything that's great about what Charlotte has to offer. So the property does that. They designed the home with Christopher Phelps Design Group, and Arcadia Homes built the home in 2020. That's when they moved in. But you've got just over 10,000 total square feet. I think it's 10,951 square feet of total living space. Part of the outdoor space includes, Morgan, a 1,200 square foot gym with sauna and spa area there. You've got a gorgeous pool with a automatic cover. You've got a cabana for sitting and a sports court. And then there's a great backyard for kids playing, ball in or whatever.
How long does it take you to get ready to list a property like this? I mean, you can rattle everything off the tip of your tongue. I mean, you're pretty good. But I would assume that it would take months of research to be able to get to this point where you finally put it on the market.
Yeah, it takes months. I think I first met Shaq and his wife, Gabby, in October of last year.
Okay.
So it's been a process that's been ongoing for a while. Part of that was waiting on them to get ready to list. But yeah, it's pretty extensive. You have to go through the home and measure it. You have to have it staged, work with what they have, add things to it if it needs it. The photography is a very extensive process. Everything with photos is going to a lot of video. So there's a lot of videography parts of the puzzle.
And I think we have some of the video that Skycam Digital provided for us. Very extensive, as you mentioned. And Shaq, he would have loved to have been here. He's in New York right now.
He's in Buffalo.
He says hello. Yeah. Well, I'm sure he doesn't mind the publicity on his home because obviously he wants to sell it. But where do you start with a home in terms of figuring out a price?
So you're having to look and see if there's any homes that have sold similar to this home to see if there's a price there. You're also looking at what's available for sale that a buyer could choose from. One option for this buyer potentially would be just to build something like this. And so a lot of these people are wanting to buy big, expensive teardowns in Charlotte and build a big house like this. So this home probably appeals to that buyer. But there's part art and part science into it, Morgan. You've got a little bit of science and data and stuff, but the art is what do you think the market will bear and what will it support? And Charlotte's just now getting to this $10 million threshold. This is a whole new level for our market. And I think we've had some great homes built in the last few years that once they start turning over, you'll see some more homes kind of like this hit the market at some point.
$10 million threshold. Are you talking about Charlotte proper or the surrounding area? Like once you get into Lake Norman, for instance, the waterfront property plays into an increase in price as well.
Yeah, it does. Really the whole metro Charlotte area.
Okay.
I mean, $10 million is a big number for our market
Mm-hmm.
in the metro Charlotte area. But I think we'll see some more homes like this. Lake Norman's already touched that market now. And I think Charlotte proper is going to start seeing that number as well.
We saw like a goose fly by in the video. How much did you have to pay the goose to be?
That is a real goose. That was not a prop. My videographer's like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this. A bird just flew by. This is awesome.
It was perfectly framed too. We'll leave this video up to see if we run through it again. But it was perfectly framed right as it crossed in front of the home. It was a nice.
Be happy that you saw that. Yeah.
Well, us in news, we work with a lot of photographers, and so we appreciate things like that. There it is, right there.
Yeah.
So, what kind of features? Obviously, we went through the overall features of the home. I think you mentioned, was it 1.6 acres? I'm trying to look at my notes. 1.69, almost 11,000 square feet, which is a lot to keep clean. You would need some help with that, I think. Not just that, but the landscaping as well. Lots for overall features of the home. But what are some of the interior features that you liked, that stuck out to you?
So when you walk in the home in the foyer, the front door, you can't see in, but it brings light in. It's really cool front door setup, double doors.
Okay.
They've got a wine sitting room off the foyer, a great spot just to have conversations and connect. Their heart of their home for them was the kitchen, breakfast, family area. That's kind of where they live and hang out. They have a great kitchen, huge kitchen. The family room's got a 2-story ceiling and 2 crystal chandeliers in there. It's just I think a standout feature in the house. They have 3 small children, so one neat thing they did is they created a playroom downstairs on the main level for the kids. So the kids don't have to go upstairs to a playroom there or the basement. It's right off the kitchen area. So if you're cooking, entertaining, the kids can still be nearby. But they're very family-oriented, so that was a big part of the puzzle for them, is making it work for the kids.
What I want to know is with the kids, and I know we're looking at pictures of the staging and kind of the interior of the home, but what I would like to know is how they keep it so nice looking.
Me too.
Sure, there's got to be a scuff somewhere, and I know we're not seeing it. But I know a lot of people with families are probably thinking, yeah, there's no way that on any given day it looks this clean and this
So
tight.
This is a real home they live in. So yeah, they went through a lot of work to make it look its best for showings.
Of course.
The big first step for a seller is to make your house look as great as it can, first for pictures and then for buyers walking in the door. So we've already had our first showing on the house. We have another one scheduled for this week. So we're already starting to see some interest in the property, which is pretty special with just a few days on the market.
Well, and let's go there, because obviously it's not it's not like a spec home where it appeals to a wider range of home buyers. So what does that look like for a luxury home in terms of how many people are chomping at the bit to be the first person to see it? Or do you see people who just, go whenever they feel like it, in terms of buyers, of course?
That's a great question. So for a buyer to see it, they have to show us proof of funds that they can afford it. That's the first
You don't
step.
want looky-loos
No,
in a house like this.
And I'm present for showings, so I don't want to go there if somebody can't afford it. So we're making sure they can afford it. You try to build urgency in real estate when you're a listing agent. To build urgency and say there's 50 people in line to buy a $10 million house, there's not. But if we've got 2 or 3 in line that are very interested, you can create urgency with just a few people. So the people coming in Wednesday already know we've had a showing on it, and they know we have another showing. So you want to build urgency if you can, but there's a handful of people locally that can afford it and are looking. So, we'll see what happens.
Who are they?
You're
not going to tell me. I know that.
Can't say.
I know you're not going to. I would love to know more about kind of what goes into establishing a reputation and starting to list more luxury properties. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to tackle that when we get back. Stay tuned. More Turnkey after this. Welcome back to Turnkey on Queen City News Plus. We have been talking about former Panthers linebacker Shaq Thompson's home that just hit the market. Ben Bowen is with us now. And Ben, you're the lucky guy to have this listing. I wanted to cover, there's a name for this home?
Yeah, so the home is Three Little Birds Estate.
What does that mean?
So that's a song from Bob Marley,
Yeah.
if you're familiar with that. So Shaq's a big Bob Marley fan.
Okay.
They have three little kids.
Oh.
So I think for them, the home was really about their whole family unit. And so that was the whole integral part of the house. It's making it work for their whole family. So it's the Three Little Birds Estate.
That's really sweet and really special. And I love that story. Do a lot of the homes, the luxury homes, do people name them like that typically? I know there's there's one in Highlands that I once did a story on, and it was like $50-some million, the listing. It was pretty pricey. And it was the Sagey Manor is what they named it.
Yeah.
So do you see that often?
Sometimes, as a listing agent of a high-end property, we will sometimes give a property name if it doesn't have one, just for marketing purposes, and so it rings a bell with a consumer.
No one's going to forget Three Little Birds, and then I just learned something about Shaq Thompson that I never knew.
Yeah, he's a big Bob Marley fan. So yeah.
So we talked about this just before going to commercial break, is how you establish a reputation. How do you go from an agent or does every agent maybe start on the lower end with more affordable homes and work their way up to luxury? Or is that something that you can jump right into? How do you establish a reputation?
So for me, it was starting out with kind of a regular type home market and working my way up. Unless you've really got a huge network of peers that are in those price ranges, you kind of have to work your way up, I think, for most people. But I've created a niche in that market. I've done very well and been very fortunate. And if somebody's looking to sell a really high-end home, there's a handful of agents that are going to call. And fortunately, I've been on that short list a lot of times.
What do you feel like is a mistake that agents make when it comes to luxury properties?
So in general, Morgan, agents are afraid to spend money. You have to spend a significant amount of money on a luxury property to market it and sell it. And a lot of agents just don't want to do that because we're paying out of pocket for that. If the home doesn't sell, then you lose the money. So, but you have to really invest a lot of time and dollars into the luxury listing.
I don't think a lot of people know that when they hire an agent, they think, well, this agent's going to get paid big one of these days when this home or another home of that luxury status sells. But I don't think a lot of them realize how much money an agent spends on getting a home ready to market. Can you kind of break that down for us?
Sure. I mean, so we do things from having the home measured professionally and creating floor plans. We work with stagers that we may or may not be involved in paying for. We hire the videographer and photographer, and that's thousands of dollars on a home like this. So we've got significant money. We also have magazine ads. This home will be on the cover of Luxury Home Magazine coming out next week in Charlotte.
Okay.
So just a heads up there. But the cover is not free. And people have asked me, how do you get your home on the cover? A, you have a great home, and B, you spend money to do that. So, but I mean, there's a lot of money involved in it. And but if you always do your best effort and give your best, I think you get all that back in return. And hopefully the home sells and they're happy, and another buyer sees that or another seller sees that and calls me, and then you get more business.
Do you ever get to the point where you schedule the photographer to come out and maybe it's looking like it's going to be a rainy day, and do you have to reschedule? How does that work?
So we rescheduled this one.
Oh, you did?
We were going to shoot the day before, and the weather just did not work, and so we came back the next day.
Okay.
But we're going to go through every step we can to make sure it shows its very best. And if we have to change the dates because of the weather, then sometimes you have to.
Well, you're spending the money to get the right pictures, and I would think, why waste time on a day that doesn't show the home in its best light, literally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you have someone who is interested in the home, I'm assuming their agent reaches out to you and they provide proof of funds. You mentioned that earlier.
Yep.
What does that look like? A lot of people typically would show a pre-approval.
Right. Sure.
But how do you know that pre-approval is legit?
So we want to see the funds in there to buy the house. Most buyers of this home either are going to pay cash or could pay cash. So we'll see, proof of funds. If they just had a pre-approval letter, I think if you go on the internet, look up payments on this house, it's like $64,000.
Right,
So,
right.
We need to see more than a pre-approval letter from somebody.
Right. The pre-approval letter, I guess, was an example for average Joe.
Yeah.
Whoever's buying this house isn't getting a mortgage because they wouldn't be able to get a mortgage for that price.
And sometimes we get people, Morgan, wanting to see it, and we know who they are. We can look them up, and you can, they're qualified just on their name. But other times we need to see, proof of funds.
So then do you do your research on the person showing up at the door? Not in a, for lack of a better word, like an icky way, right?
Okay.
But to understand who they are, what they're, because you're trying to sell them too.
Sure. So when a buyer's agent brings a buyer to the house here, I know who the buyer is. I'm going to look them up on the internet. I know what job they did. We're going to know where they live. I'm going to know where they went to school. Do they have kids? Whatever I can find out. Because when I meet them at the house, I'm trying to build rapport with them very quickly and understand who they are and what they're trying to buy, what's important to them. Because nobody needs a $10 million house. It's not shelter. There's a specific want there. They're trying to accomplish something. So my goal is to understand who you and your family are and what's important to you. And if I can understand that, then I can show you the home in a manner that sells that to you. If you want privacy and security, we're going to sell that to you. If you want space, if you want fitness, if you want a movie room, we're going to sell that to you. So it's really understanding who the buyer is as much as you can as a listing agent. Have
you ever had just kind of a odd interaction with a potential buyer coming through on one of these properties?
We have. We've had buyers come through that are very standoffish and really don't want to share much with you. The majority of the buyers are pretty open, though, and they'll tell you what they're looking for. And it's a small industry on the high end, so I know the buyer's agent in almost all cases on a home like this. So that helps out. We've got trust and credibility with the buyer's agent as well.
All right, well, we're going to take one more quick commercial break, and then we'll come back after this. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Turnkey on Queen City News Plus. We have been talking about Shaq Thompson's home that is getting listed here in Charlotte at the cool price of $10.7 million. Ben Bowen is the listing agent for the property. Ben, when you start the rapport with the seller of these properties, who communicates with you throughout the process? Is it always the homeowner, or do they have representation? How does that work?
Yeah, it's a great question. Sometimes the homeowner does have representation. In this case, Shaq and Gabby reached out to me directly, and they are my only contact.
Okay.
So I go straight through them for everything.
And it's my understanding that he's even communicated a little bit with your son, who's a huge Panthers fan or a Shaq fan?
He's a huge Panther fan and Shaq fan.
Yeah.
And my son was excited to know that I was going on the listing appointment. And I told Shaq he was a big fan, and he said, well, let's FaceTime him. So he sent my son a FaceTime right there.
Yeah.
Just great guy. And he and Gabby both are just great people.
Well, I know we've done stories with him throughout the past, and I can second that, is that he is a great person. I wanted to pull up your listing video, and if you could kind of walk me through what goes into, like, how long does this take? Do you have a script ahead of time? You just wing it on a $10 million.
Okay. We don't wing it. I have a outline of what I want to talk about. It's important. I don't plan out the script in terms of the exact verbiage and try to recite it there. I think for me that doesn't come off as authentic and natural. So it takes quite a bit of time. We do videos that are short clips and highlight reels for Instagram and stuff. We do longer videos for YouTube.
There you are, shooting some hoops.
Yeah, shooting some hoops here.
How are your skills?
We'll see.
Oh, looks like they're pretty good.
So, my videographer bet me I couldn't do that. So I'm like, okay, let's see. So it's like, well, let me get the camera ready. So,
but where was the rim? That's what I want to know.
It's somewhere above my head.
It's adjustable. It's adjustable.
Above my head. So, but we have fun. I mean, the videos really, you want to draw attention to the house. You want to showcase some of the house. But what you're trying to do is get somebody to see that and want to come in the house and see it. It's not designed to show the whole house and all elements of it.
Okay.
But we've got over 100 photos of this house, so we can share somebody a link to it. and they can see an email or text with all 100 pictures of the house.
Mm-hmm.
But the videos, you're just trying to create interest and for somebody to see it and want to come inside the house.
How has that changed throughout the years? Just the expansion of social media and having, I mean, you have to shoot these videos now, whereas before it didn't even exist.
So 5 years ago, I was not a believer in social media in terms of generating me business.
Now you're dunking basketballs on the
basketballs, and somehow there's like 23,000 people on Instagram follow me. Not that that's huge, but it's way more than it was.
It's more than I have.
But people like real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people follow real estate. So it's kind of, social media has changed it. I have no desire to be a reality TV star as some realtors do, but that's okay. But I've just, it's a part of the business and you have to do it to an extent.
So this home hit the market on the
on Friday.
It was 25th, I think, right?
Yeah.
And I know all it takes is one buyer, right? But what is the expectation that you set for your clients in terms of how long they should expect it to be on the market?
So when we come to market a home like this, Morgan, I think there's some buyers in Charlotte looking around for homes.
Mm-hmm.
And if this home checks their boxes and they're ready to make a decision, they'll come see it soon and we'll get some activity first 30 days. If we can hit one of those buyers quickly, we'll sell it pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't, there's a little pause period where it may take a few months, but we've had one showing, have our second one this week with another client. So I'm optimistic. We're getting some real good activity on it for this price point.
And we're talking generally, obviously not about this house anymore, but once it hits that lull that you were talking about, is that kind of territory that you expect, okay, if there is an interested buyer, they're going to want concessions so they're going to the list is going to start to get long in terms of their ask.
Yeah.
Is that what you're expecting?
It is. I mean, the quicker you sell a property in general,
Mm-hmm.
the higher price you're going to get and the less negotiations for repairs and items the seller's going to have to do.
Mm-hmm.
The longer it's on the market, you're going to take a lower price
Mm-hmm.
compared to the offer, and you're going to also probably have to do more things
Mm-hmm.
on the seller's end to make the home.
How do you educate yourself on materials to get to a point where you feel comfortable walking through a house and you can list the type of flooring, you can list,
So I spent 7 years working for a national builder, and then I worked for 10 years for a developer of high-end country clubs, Crescent Resources.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I knew the background for the building materials just through 17 years of selling new construction. But you definitely have to study it and learn it and stay abreast of what's current and trending for materials, products, all that stuff.
Well, not only that, but how much it costs year over year because it's constantly going up.
Yeah, it is. It is. And a buyer of this home may buy it and totally change parts of it to make it their own. Because at $10 million, I mean, people have specific taste. And if they don't like the taste, but like the overall property, they may change out lighting, countertops, paint. They'll certainly do some things to make it, fit their needs, I think.
So then how do you handle if you get a listing where, and Shaq's house is gorgeous inside and out, but how do you handle if you get a listing for a luxury home where maybe the taste isn't quite where it should be for marketing to a broader audience? So
the first thing you have to do is reflect that in the price. The price has got to be lower if the home is not current to taste. Secondly, if there are things you can do to bring it up to speed, then you do that. But if it's just a dated house and everything's bad about it, I mean, you have to price it at a lower number.
Okay. Well, Ben, it's been a joy having you on and learning more about how you've listed Shaq's home. Is there any final thoughts that you'd like to leave us with?
No, just I appreciate you having me here. And the Charlotte real estate market is ever changing. So if anybody out there is looking at real estate, make sure you're talking to someone that really knows the market, knows what they're doing, because it's changing drastically every day right now. And it's a new world out there for real estate. So just, love to help anybody else I can.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for coming on. And thanks to everyone else out there watching Turnkey on Queen City News Plus. We'll see you next time.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.